Alligator hunting's hard. Everybody that does it works their butt off. Somebody messes with your lines or something like that. Temperatures can get really hot really quick.
Chase Landry may look like just another fearless gator hunter on Swamp People, but there's far more to his story than what you see on screen.
You just got to be careful and, take precautions, but as long as you stay safe, everything turns out just fine.
Behind the calm demeanor and swamp life grit lies a journey filled with legal troubles, heartbreaking family battles, and quiet resilience. What really happened during that infamous boat incident? How did a baby's life-threatening illness shake the entire Landry family? And why does Chase remain so silent while the world speculates? It's easy to assume that someone like Chase Landry, best known for his role on Swamp People, lives a simple life, far removed from drama and complications. With his rugged confidence and deep connection to Louisiana's wild terrain, Chase built a reputation as a dependable and skilled hunter. He became popular for his calm, focused manner while working in the dangerous waters of the bayou, where he carried on the traditions passed down through generations. But like many reality TV personalities, Chase's public image doesn't always reflect the full story. In 2016, an unexpected incident brought him into the national spotlight for reasons very different from hunting alligators. That year, Chase found himself at the center of a legal case that quickly attracted media attention. The situation unfolded in September 2016 on the Bayou Chain, an area he knew well. He was reportedly out on his boat, working as usual, when he noticed another vessel, specifically a shrimp boat, heading in his direction at what he considered to be a dangerous speed. Surrounded by water and with limited space to maneuver, he felt cornered. What happened next would change not only the course of his day, but also how some people viewed him. During what he later described as a tense and high-stress moment, Chase pulled out a firearm and shot at the oncoming boat. His bullet struck a plastic fuel container aboard the shrimp boat. Thankfully, no one was injured, and the situation did not escalate beyond that shot. However, firing a gun in this way, regardless of the circumstances, led to consequences. Authorities later arrested him and charged him with illegal discharge of a firearm. News of the incident spread quickly, in part because of his television fame. While Chase had never sought out celebrity status, his role on Swamp People made him a recognizable face. Fans were surprised, and opinions began to split. Some saw his actions as a defensive move in a potentially dangerous situation. Others viewed it as reckless and unnecessary, especially considering that no actual contact had been made between the boats. What complicated the matter further was Chase's decision not to speak publicly about the event. He didn't post on social media, didn't give interviews, and didn't attempt to defend or explain his actions in the public eye. His silence left room for speculation, and without clarification, the court of public opinion took over. Some viewers of Swamp People became more supportive, believing he acted on instinct in a risky environment. Others felt uneasy, wondering whether someone with experience navigating the bayou should have found another way to resolve the issue. Despite the charge, Chase appeared to return to normal life fairly quickly. In fact, he resumed filming episodes of Swamp People, and viewers saw him back in action in later seasons. This led many to believe he hadn't faced any jail time. But the story didn't quite end there. Chase had been due to appear in court in December 2017 as part of the legal proceedings related to the incident. However, when the date came, he failed to show up. As a result, a bench warrant was issued for his arrest. Once again, media outlets picked up on the development. Fans and followers started to ask questions. Was he going to be taken into custody? Would this affect his place on the show? And perhaps more importantly, why had he not appeared in court? Unfortunately, details about what followed were limited. Chase and his family continued their usual quiet approach, offering no updates and making no statements. As time passed, the situation faded from the headlines. There were no major follow-ups, no further media reports about an arrest or conviction, and no indication that the issue had affected his role on Swamp People in any permanent way. While this may seem like a relatively minor legal matter in the grand scheme of things, the reaction it sparked was far from small. Fans were passionate in their responses. Some believed Chase had simply reacted in a moment of perceived danger. They pointed to the unpredictable nature of the bayou, where quick decisions can mean the difference between safety and disaster. Others argued that firing a gun should always be a last resort, especially in a public space where others might be at risk. This division in public opinion highlighted an interesting shift in how audiences view reality TV figures. Chase Landry was not a celebrity in the traditional sense. He wasn't acting, singing, or posting on social media to maintain a following. Instead, he became well known for doing what he had always done: hunting, surviving, and living off the land. His calm presence and authentic connection to the swamp made him a fan favorite, someone people saw as honest and grounded. So, when an event like this happened, it created a sense of conflict among those who supported him. There were broader questions too. Should public figures be held to higher standards? Does reality television blur the lines between personal lives and entertainment personas? And how much of someone's private behavior should influence how we see them on screen? Chase's choice to remain silent throughout the entire controversy added to the mystery. It was consistent with his usual approach to fame. He had never been someone who shared much about his life beyond the show. While many celebrities rushed to clear their names or post emotional statements online, Chase opted for a quieter path. Whether this was a strategy or simply a reflection of his personality, it contributed to the idea that he preferred letting his actions, rather than words, speak for him. It's also worth remembering that life in the swamp isn't without risks. The terrain is dangerous, the work is physically demanding, and situations can turn critical in moments. Whether Chase's response was right or wrong, it's clear he felt threatened enough to act, and he did so in a way that, luckily, didn't result in injuries. Still, the fact that he used a firearm in a non-life-threatening situation raised legal concerns that couldn't be ignored. The incident also marked a turning point in how the public saw him. Until that moment, Chase had largely been associated with strength, calm under pressure, and a deep respect for his environment. After the shooting, there was a more complicated picture, one that included impulse, judgment calls, and real-world consequences. Over time, Chase continued his life much as he had before. He appeared in new episodes of Swamp People, maintained his low public profile, and didn't seem to be chasing attention or defending his image. In a way, this consistency helped him regain the trust of many fans who appreciated his decision to focus on work rather than publicity. Growing up in the bayou means developing a very different understanding of the world. While many kids elsewhere might spend their days at the mall or playing video games, Chase spent his time out in the wild, learning how to survive and thrive in one of America's most unpredictable natural environments. From an early age, he was exposed to the everyday challenges of swamp life. Things like trapping animals, identifying signs in the water, navigating boats through tight channels, and maintaining composure during physically demanding situations were all part of his education. He wasn't reading about these things in books. He was learning them firsthand, taught by the people closest to him. One of the most influential figures in his life was his father, Troy Landry. Troy is one of the central figures on Swamp People and a well-known alligator hunter long before the show ever aired. In the Louisiana swamps, Troy built a name for himself as someone who understood the land and its dangers better than most. He didn't just teach Chase how to hunt, he taught him how to live with respect for nature. Chase grew up observing his dad out on the water, learning how to handle pressure, make fast decisions, and stay calm in situations where hesitation could be costly. These were life lessons, not just survival tactics. Chase's mother, Bernita Landry, also played a key role in shaping his upbringing. She worked as a teacher, bringing a sense of structure and routine into their household. Later, she became involved with the production side of Swamp People, taking on responsibilities as a publicist and helping manage the family's growing media presence. Bernita helped provide a grounded, balanced environment, while the rest of the family was often consumed with the demands of hunting and filming. Her influence helped ensure that Chase didn't grow up overwhelmed by the physical nature of his surroundings. Instead, he developed both emotional and mental resilience. Family was always central to Chase's life. He wasn't alone in his journey through the swamp. His older brother, Jacob Landry, was by his side from the start. The two of them developed a strong bond that went beyond brotherhood. They were partners in everything from hunting trips to filming for television. Jacob, like Chase, grew up with the swamp as his classroom. Their teamwork came from years of shared experiences, learning to trust each other with every cast of the line and every pull of the trigger. On screen, viewers can see that trust in action. Behind the scenes, it was something built over decades. Chase also has a half-brother named Brandon Hotard, who came from his mother Bernita's earlier relationship. Brandon appeared on Swamp People during the show's early seasons, but later chose to leave the spotlight. While he didn't remain part of the cast, his connection to Chase stayed strong. The two continued to share family time and mutual respect, and Brandon's decision to step away didn't create distance. If anything, it showed that the Landrys respect individual paths and choices. For Chase, it reinforced the idea that family isn't about cameras or roles. It's about the bonds that last regardless of circumstances. Unlike many young people who prepare for adult life through school or apprenticeships, Chase's real training came from being in the wild. The lessons he learned were practical, immediate, and often intense. He had to understand the rhythm of nature, when the waters would rise, how animals moved, where the dangers were hidden. He learned how to fire accurately, how to keep a boat steady in rough waters, and how to stay focused under pressure. These are not skills that come easily. They require repetition, instinct, and a willingness to stay humble in the face of unpredictable conditions. By the time he reached his teenage years, Chase had already gained enough knowledge to start taking a leadership role in hunts. He was no longer just helping his father and brother. He was becoming a hunter in his own right. As he took more responsibility, he showed that he wasn't just copying what he had seen growing up. Instead, he was applying the lessons, adapting them, and developing his own instincts. His calm under pressure and ability to stay focused even in tough situations didn't come from acting. It came from experience. Swamp life is not glamorous, and it doesn't offer much in terms of comfort or predictability. But for Chase, it offered a sense of purpose. The bayou wasn't just a location. It was a part of him. He didn't treat it as a backdrop for a television show, but as a place that shaped every part of his life. That deep connection to the land is something viewers of Swamp People often notice. It's not just about hunting. It's about tradition, legacy, and a bond with nature that's hard to explain to those who haven't lived it. There's also a work ethic that comes with this lifestyle. Chase was taught, especially by Troy, that success comes from effort and consistency. The swamp doesn't give second chances easily, and the work is physically demanding day after day. Whether it's setting lines, checking traps, or hauling in a catch, every part of the job requires focus and determination. Chase took these lessons seriously. His reputation as someone who doesn't cut corners comes from a long history of showing up, doing the work, and staying dedicated, even when no one is watching. This upbringing also gave him a different view of risk. In the bayou, danger is part of daily life. Alligators, unpredictable weather, narrow waterways, and old machinery are constant threats. For Chase, staying safe isn't about avoiding danger. It's about understanding it, respecting it, and knowing how to react when things don't go as planned. That mindset stayed with him into adulthood and helped shape his measured, thoughtful approach to both hunting and public life. While many people might struggle with the idea of growing up in such a tough environment, Chase never saw the swamp as something to fear. Instead, he saw it as a place to learn from. His comfort in the outdoors, his quiet confidence, and his ability to stay calm during stressful situations all stem from those early years spent among cypress trees and muddy water. These traits are what made him such a compelling figure on Swamp People. He didn't need to act or perform, he simply had to be himself. The result is a man who feels rooted in something bigger than himself. Chase didn't just inherit a family tradition, he embraced it. He carried forward the knowledge passed down through generations, not out of obligation, but because it was part of who he is. His life in the bayou, shaped by both hardship and strong family ties, continues to influence everything he does. At first, the attention felt positive. The show gave viewers a chance to witness a way of life that many had never seen before. It highlighted the skill, strength, and resilience required to survive in the wild, and Chase stood out as one of the most level-headed and capable members of the cast. He wasn't loud or overly dramatic. He came across as someone authentic, steady, and quietly confident. Many viewers connected with him because of his honest portrayal and strong bond with his family. But fame doesn't always stay friendly. As the show grew in popularity, so did the rumors, speculation, and false stories. Chase, in particular, became the subject of frequent gossip. At one point, there were even false reports online suggesting he had died. These stories were entirely untrue, but they spread quickly. Some came from misidentified obituaries, others from deliberately misleading headlines. While those close to him knew the truth, fans who saw these stories online were left confused and concerned. Chase, true to his nature, didn't respond publicly. He didn't take to social media to correct the rumors or issue any statements. He stayed quiet, choosing not to give attention to the noise. That decision wasn't a sign of indifference, but rather his way of handling situations, calmly, privately, and without unnecessary drama. In a world where many public figures are quick to react, Chase's silence was both unusual and telling. It showed a side of him that prefers action over words and peace over conflict. While Chase was dealing with false stories and the pressure of maintaining a public presence, his family faced real, heartbreaking challenges. In early 2024, a deeply personal crisis affected the Landry family when Chase's half-brother, Brandon Hotard, received devastating news about his young son. Baby Crew, only a few months old, was diagnosed with a rare liver condition called biliary atresia. This disease damages the bile ducts in infants, preventing bile from draining properly from the liver. Without treatment, it can lead to liver failure. The family was hit hard. Crew underwent a major surgery called the Kasai procedure, which is often the first treatment option in such cases. The surgery is designed to help bile drain from the liver, potentially preventing further damage. Initially, there was hope that the operation would be successful. The family held on to that hope, supporting each other as they waited for updates. Unfortunately, the procedure did not have the desired effect. Crew's liver continued to deteriorate, and doctors soon informed the family that he was in the final stage of liver failure. A transplant would be the only option to save his life. For the Landrys, who are used to confronting physical challenges in the swamp, this was a completely different kind of battle, one that couldn't be fought with tools, strength, or survival skills. This time, they needed to rely on medical expertise, hope, and the kindness of strangers. The emotional impact was overwhelming. Although Chase has always been a private person who doesn't show much emotion on camera, those close to him noticed the weight of the situation. He was deeply affected by his nephew's condition. Crew's illness brought out a side of Chase that the public rarely sees: quiet, emotional, and fiercely protective. He didn't talk much about it, but his actions showed his commitment. Whether through emotional support, helping with logistics, or simply being present, Chase stood by his family without hesitation. Brandon, who had stayed out of the spotlight for some time, found himself back in the public eye, not for entertainment, but for a cause. The family began raising awareness about organ donation, hoping to increase understanding of liver diseases and encourage more people to register as donors. Their goal wasn't just to help Crew, it was to potentially help other children facing the same situation. They shared Crew's story with honesty, aiming not to gain attention, but to highlight the urgent need for donor awareness. This tragic situation united the family even more. Extended relatives, friends, and even fans of the show reached out with prayers, messages of support, and acts of kindness. Social media, which had once been a source of stress for Chase, became a space where strangers expressed compassion and solidarity. It showed that even in moments of deep sorrow, community support can be powerful. Not long before Crew's diagnosis, another family challenge had tested the Landrys. In 2022, Troy Landry, the head of the family and a central figure on Swamp People, was diagnosed with prostate cancer. The news was difficult for both the family and the fans. Troy, who had always been seen as the strong, guiding force of the group, suddenly found himself facing a serious health crisis. He underwent surgery to have his prostate removed and took time off to recover. During this period, Chase and the rest of the family pulled together to support Troy. They didn't make a spectacle out of it or turn it into a public event. They simply did what families do. They stayed close, offered help, and made sure Troy had the time and space he needed to heal. Within a year, Troy returned to filming and resumed hunting, a sign of both his physical recovery and the strength of the support around him. Then, in late 2024, Troy faced another issue, this time involving wildlife regulations. During a routine investigation, wildlife officials found a dead alligator caught on floating lines in Lake Powell without the proper tags required by Louisiana law. Every alligator harvested in the state must be tagged correctly, with documentation to show legal compliance. The discovery led to legal action. Troy acknowledged the oversight and cooperated with authorities. He paid the necessary fines and completed the legal process without further complications. For fans, it was another reminder that even those who seem larger than life on TV are still human. Mistakes happen, and fame doesn't exempt anyone from the law. But the way the Landrys handled the situation, directly, without excuses, reinforced the public's respect for them. It showed that they take responsibility and remain grounded despite their visibility. Throughout all these challenges, one thing remained constant: the strength of the Landry family. Whether it was dealing with a child's medical crisis, false rumors, or legal matters, they faced every issue as a unit. They didn't seek to blame others or shift attention. They simply did what they always do: stick together, stay strong, and keep going. Chase, in particular, emerged from these events with a deeper sense of maturity and resilience. While he never sought fame, he understood the weight it brought. Yet he never let it change who he was. He stayed quiet when needed, stepped up when it mattered, and kept his focus on what truly counts: his family, his roots, and his integrity. One of the most important roles in Chase's life is that of a father. In March 2017, he and his then partner, Chelsea Kinsey, welcomed their daughter, Riley Blake Landry. Becoming a parent had a significant impact on Chase. While he had always taken responsibility seriously in his professional and family life, fatherhood brought a new kind of perspective. Riley's arrival marked the beginning of a chapter that would quietly shape many of his decisions, both on and off the show. Chase and Chelsea had built a relationship largely outside of the public eye. Although viewers knew of Chase from his television work, little was shared about his personal life. Unlike many reality TV personalities who make their relationships part of their public brand, Chase kept things private. His connection with Chelsea was treated with the same care and privacy as the rest of his personal affairs. They lived quietly, raising their daughter away from the glare of cameras or public attention. Over time, Chase and Chelsea's relationship came to an end. The details of their separation were never made public, and neither of them offered any statements or dramatic accounts. Instead, they handled their parting with the same maturity and discretion that had characterized their relationship. For Chase, protecting his daughter from unwanted media exposure was more important than clearing up rumors or feeding into public curiosity. Even when fans asked questions, he remained quiet. That silence wasn't evasive, it was intentional. After his relationship with Chelsea ended, Chase's personal life drew attention once again when he began dating Cheyenne Wheat, better known as Pickle, from Swamp People. Pickle, who is also an experienced hunter and part of the cast, brought a shared passion for swamp life into their relationship. Their time together sparked interest among fans, and their connection added a new dynamic to the show. While there were brief glimpses of their relationship during filming, Chase still maintained his reserved nature, not letting the relationship become a source of public drama. Eventually, Chase and Pickle went their separate ways as well. Once again, there was no public fallout, no media spectacle, and no social media feuds. They simply went on with their lives. The breakup, like much of Chase's personal life, was handled quietly and respectfully. For fans used to dramatic celebrity splits, this approach might seem unusual, but for Chase, it's entirely consistent with who he is. He doesn't thrive on attention. He values privacy and prefers to resolve things away from the spotlight. Despite the changes in his romantic life, one constant remained: his role as a father. Chase has never been one to post photos or talk publicly about his daughter, but those who follow his story know how deeply he cares for her. His protective nature, already visible in how he approaches danger and challenges in the wild, is even more apparent when it comes to his family. He may not share much, but every now and then, fans get a quiet glimpse of how seriously he takes his responsibilities as a parent. While many reality stars focus on growing their brand through social media, Chase has taken a different route. He rarely posts personal updates and does not engage much with online gossip. His decision to maintain a low profile reflects a deeper desire to balance the public and private sides of his life. Fame might be a part of his story, but it's not something he actively chases. Instead, he focuses on what's meaningful to him, whether that's family, the land he grew up on, or his local community. Outside of television, Chase has also stepped into the world of business. Unlike some celebrities who invest in flashy projects far removed from their roots, Chase's business ventures reflect his identity and values. He has invested in several small businesses near his hometown of Pierre Part, Louisiana, including a gas station, a seafood operation, and a restaurant called Chase Tales. These businesses are not just sources of income. They're part of how Chase stays connected to his community and helps support the local economy. Chase Tales, in particular, is a reflection of the culture Chase grew up in. The restaurant specializes in crawfish and other local favorites, offering a relaxed environment for people to enjoy Louisiana cuisine. It's a place that celebrates the region's food traditions, and for Chase, it's a way to share a piece of his life with others. It also gives locals and visitors alike a chance to experience the flavor and atmosphere of the bayou in a welcoming setting. His gas station and seafood business serve both practical and cultural purposes. In rural communities like Pierre Part, such services are essential. They provide employment, meet daily needs, and reinforce a way of life that values hard work and resourcefulness. By investing in these businesses, Chase isn't just earning a living. He's giving back to the place that shaped him. These ventures also provide stability. While reality TV can be unpredictable, with changing seasons and varying popularity, local businesses offer a more consistent foundation. Chase seems to understand that fame doesn't last forever, and he's prepared for the future by building something sustainable. His estimated net worth is said to be over $200,000, not a huge figure by celebrity standards, but a meaningful one for someone who came from modest beginnings and never sought the spotlight. His income reflects not only his role on television, but also his smart, grounded choices outside of it. What makes Chase's financial story unique is that it isn't driven by ego or a desire for luxury. His investments and income sources are tied directly to his roots. He doesn't spend his time promoting products on social media or making appearances at events. Instead, he builds businesses that reflect who he is and what he believes in. He chooses projects that help his community, preserve his culture, and give him independence. At the core of everything Chase does is a sense of responsibility towards his family, his work, and the values he grew up with. He doesn't fit the mold of a typical reality TV star, and that's part of why he stands out. Whether he's raising his daughter, handling personal relationships with care, or running businesses in his hometown, Chase remains committed to living life on his terms. He doesn't need the spotlight to validate him. He knows who he is, and he's content staying true to that, even when few are watching. In a world that often rewards loud personalities and constant exposure, Chase Landry proves that there's strength in staying grounded. His life beyond the swamp isn't filled with drama or extravagant displays. Instead, it's a quiet but powerful story of family, hard work, and staying close to your roots. It's a reminder that being real, respectful, and reliable still matters. And sometimes, those qualities are what truly make someone stand out.